We like to think of ourselves as logical beings, calmly responding to the facts of reality. But the truth is, our brains are not built to simply register what is. They are built to interpret, to make meaning, to tell stories. At every moment, our brain is weaving a quiet narrative in the background about what's happening, what it means, and what we should feel in response. It connects dots, fills in gaps, invents motives, and colors reality with emotion. This isn't a flaw, it's a feature of how the human mind works. Neuroscience shows that we rely heavily on something called the default mode network, a system in the brain that activates when we're not focused on the outside world. It's the network responsible for daydreaming, self-reflection, and imagining the future. It's also the stage where our internal storyteller performs, crafting the narrative of me and what this moment means. But this storytelling doesn't happen out loud. It happens silently in what psychologists call inner speech, the voice within. We all have this voice. You might hear it when you rehearse your to-do list, replay a conversation, mentally prepare for tomorrow's challenge, or simply whisper to yourself, "It's going to be okay." This is your brain talking to itself, organizing your experience, shaping your identity, building the scaffolding of your sense of self. And this inner voice isn't always singular. Sometimes it's a chorus. You may hear echoes of your parents, an old teacher, your younger self, or even characters from a book you once loved. Our inner speech, as Charles Fernyhough writes, is multi-voiced. Not a monologue, but a dialogue unfolding across memory, time, and imagination. How does this voice begin? The Russian psychologist Lev Vygotsky believed that inner speech grows out of social speech. Children first talk to others, then to themselves aloud, and finally that voice moves inward, becoming silent, compact, and deeply personal. In this way, the stories we tell ourselves are built from the voices of others. Our self, in a sense, begins as a conversation. Psychologists have found that a negative comment has about 3 times the impact of a positive one. One harsh word can echo louder and linger longer than a dozen gentle ones. Some of the stories we tell ourselves are simply outdated, and the fastest way to change our life isn't to add more self-help routines, but to let go of narratives that no longer serve us. We forget that what we feel is not just a response to the world, but to the story we've told ourselves about the world. We think we're angry because someone was rude, anxious because something went wrong, ashamed because we weren't good enough. But more often than not, it's not the situation that determines the emotion, it's the interpretation, the meaning we assign, the angle from which we view things, the internal narrative we habitually follow. But what happens when this inner voice turns against us? When it's no longer a guide, but a critic? When it whispers not encouragement, but doubt? The good news is, this voice is not fixed. We can train it, we can tune it, we can choose what kind of voice we want guiding us. And sometimes the most powerful choice we can make is to simply let certain thoughts go. Letting go isn't about ignoring what's true. It's about no longer holding on to what was never helpful to begin with. A self-doubt, a critical thought, a limiting belief. They only gain weight when we keep repeating them. Once we stop giving them our attention, they begin to lose their grip. And in that space, a quieter, more supportive voice can emerge, one that helps us grow instead of holding us back. This is where everything can begin to change. A paradigm shift in thought, even a small one, can lead to a radical shift in emotion. The words we say to ourselves become the emotional tone of our lives. If the inner voice is harsh, we become tense, defensive, fearful. If it is kind, we feel safe, calm, and capable. If we are the storytellers of our own experience, then we can also become editors, rewriting old scripts, softening harsh lines, and choosing a tone that helps us heal. Psychologists call this cognitive reappraisal or compassionate self-talk. But in simpler terms, it means learning to catch ourselves in moments of automatic self-judgment and gently redirect the voice. From criticism to curiosity, From why did I mess up again? To what can I learn from this? From I'm a failure to I'm growing. This is not about blind positivity or denying what's hard. It's about changing the lens through which we see ourselves. And like any skill, it gets easier with practice. Each time we interrupt the spiral of self-attack with a breath, a pause, a kinder phrase, we are literally reshaping the neural pathways in our brain. We are rewriting the script. And over time, that becomes the new voice. One that is steadier, warmer, wiser. So much of our suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from how we talk to ourselves about it. And if we can learn to tell a better story inside, we might just feel more free to live a better story outside. The inner voice is not just a tool, it's a theater of creativity, where new worlds are imagined and new meanings come to life. Writers know this well. Many describe their characters as speaking to them. Some even say they feel like they're simply transcribing what's already alive in their mind. J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, once said that the idea of a boy wizard simply walked into her head during a delayed train ride. He wasn't planned, he wasn't outlined, he appeared. And as she sat, watching the countryside slip past, she didn't just see a character, she began to hear his voice. Harry had questions, he had opinions. And before long, others joined him. Hermione, Ron, Dumbledore, each with their own tone, their own rhythm, their own way of being. She didn't force the story, she listened to it. This is the quiet magic of inner speech. When the mind becomes a stage and the imagination becomes the playwright. When our thoughts begin to take on voices of their own, not to confuse us, but to reveal what's already waiting within. When we reinterpret what someone did not as an insult, but as a reflection of their own pain, anger becomes compassion. When we stop telling ourselves that failure means we're broken and start seeing it as part of growth, shame becomes resilience. And when we realize that we are the author of our internal stories, we begin to write differently, with more gentleness, with more curiosity, with more freedom. So if your inner voice feels tired, if it's been too sharp, too quiet, or too heavy lately, take a moment now, place a gentle hand over your heart, and say to yourself, even silently, "This is hard." And that's okay. May I offer myself the kindness I would offer a friend. I am learning, I am growing, I am enough, right here, right now. Let this be a small moment of self-compassion, a pause in the noise, a soft rewriting of your inner story. And if you'd like more videos like this, gentle, thoughtful, healing, click like and consider subscribing. It helps this message reach more people and reminds the algorithm that a softer voice matters too.